The sky was dark, and rain fell slowly on the cold silver ground of planet Zarya. The graveyard was quiet. Only the soft sound of wind and falling drops could be heard. Rows of metal graves stretched as far as the eye could see. Each grave held a name, a memory, a life lost in the war. One figure stood alone in the middle of it all. Her name was Mira. She wore a long black robe, and her purple eyes were full of sorrow. Her face, smooth and pale, had no expression. But her heart, deep inside, was breaking. She was not like others of her kind. The Zaryans were known to be cold, logical, and without emotion. But Mira, she felt everything. And today, she stood at her son's grave. The name on the small metal plate read, Kale, son of Myra, died, 17th. Cycle of the Human Zaryan War. Label, traitor. Her fingers trembled as she touched the name. They called you traitor, she whispered. But you were my son. You only wanted peace. Kale had been young, only 23 in human years. He had trained as a soldier, but he was different. He asked questions. He didn't hate the humans like the others. In fact, he had studied them, talked about them, believed they could be allies one day. But the war came, fast and hard. The Zaryans blamed humans for stealing resources for attacking colonies. Kale had tried to speak up, but no one listened. They called him weak. Then, one day, he was gone. They said he died on the battlefield. But they also said something else. He betrayed them. He tried to stop a mission, tried to warn the humans. For that, they erased his name from honor. They buried him without ceremony, labeled him a traitor. But Myra never believed the lies. Now every month she came here, even though it was forbidden to mourn a traitor. She stood in the rain, silent, broken. If there was only a way to bring you back, she said softly. Her voice cracked out suddenly. She felt something strange. A small sound behind her, a faint mechanical hum, not wind, not rain. She turned quickly. In the shadows between the graves, a figure stood, tall, covered in a dark coat, his face hidden under a metal hood. Mira stepped back, alarmed. Who are you? She asked. The figure said nothing at first. Then, slowly, he raised his hands to show he meant no harm. I came to find you, he said in a low voice. Not a Zaryan voice. It was human. Mira's heart raced. A human? Here? On Zarya? She narrowed her eyes. You should not be here. This is enemy ground. I know, he said. But I had to come. For your son. Myra froze. What do you know of Kale? The man stepped forward, just enough that the rain hit his face. His hood slid back slightly. He was older, with scars across his cheek. His eyes were tired, but not cruel. My name is Dr. Elias Monroe. I knew your son. He saved my life. Mira stared at him. Lies. No, Elias said, shaking his head. I was there, the day he died. He didn't betray anyone. He was trying to stop something terrible. And he died, protecting me. Tears rose in Myra's eyes. She didn't know whether to believe him. It had been so long, years of pain and silence. Why are you telling me this now? Elias reached into his coat. Carefully, he pulled out a small, glowing crystal cube. Inside it, a flicker of light moved like smoke. This, he said, is a memory chip. Kale gave it to me before he died. He told me, if I survived, I should find you and show you this. Mira stared at the cube, her hand slowly reaching for it. What's in it? His voice, his mind, his last thoughts, maybe even more. There was silence between them. Then Elias added, I think I can bring him back. Myra gasped. What are you saying? I can't promise anything, Elias said. But I've worked for years on a system, a way to restore memory, to recreate minds. If I have the right materials, and with your help, I might be able to bring him back, not exactly as he was, but close. Mira's hand clenched. Hope was dangerous. She had not felt it in years. "I don't know if I can trust you," she said, voice shaking. Elias looked into her eyes. "You loved your son. I did too, in a different way. He believed in peace. I want to finish what he started. Will you help me?" Mira looked down at the grave once more. The rain kept falling. But this time, her tears fell too. "I will come with you," she whispered. And so, without another word, she walked away from the grave for the first time in years, following the human into the darkness. But deep inside, a spark of something burned again. The wind howled through the canyons of broken steel. Once, these ruins were part of a human science station. Now, only ashes and ghosts remained. But deep underground, behind locked doors and silent halls, machines still breathed. Mira followed the human into this forgotten place. She had not spoken. Since they left the graveyard, her heart felt heavy with fear. And something worse, hope. She had buried hope the day Cale died. Now it walked beside her, wearing human skin. The man Dr. Elias Monroe moved with quiet confidence. He walked like someone who had lost everything, yet still had a purpose. They reached a steel door marked with faded human symbols. Elias placed his hand on a scanner. The door hissed and slid open. Inside was a hidden lab dimly lit, filled with old tech, wires like veins across the walls. Strange machines blinked and hummed. Screens showed maps, DNA chains, neural codes. Things Myra didn't understand. But one table stood out. On it lay a half-finished body, not fully Zarian, not fully human. Wires ran through its arms. Its chest rose and fell, but only slightly, like a machine dreaming of breath. Mira stepped back in shock. "What is this?" Elias turned to her, serious now. "This is what I've been working on. A body not born, but built. Designed to carry Cale's mind." Mira's voice shook. "You want to put my son into that?" Elias nodded. "Not his body, that was lost. But his memories, his thoughts, his soul may still live inside this chip." He held up the glowing cube again. "And if they do, I can bring him back." Mira stared at the body on the table. It looked lifeless, wrong, cold. "You said you knew him," she whispered. "Prove it." Elias took a breath. He walked over to a console and placed the cube into a slot. The screen blinked, and suddenly a voice filled the room. "If you're seeing this, I'm probably dead," Mira gasped. She knew that voice. Even across years and pain, it was Cale. The recording continued. "Mother, I hope he found you. Elias, if he's alive, then maybe there's still a chance." The voice trembled with fear and hope. "They're going to blame me. They're going to call me traitor. But I only tried to stop the attack. It wasn't the humans. The order came from someone inside the council. Someone who wants war." Mira's breath caught. Her hands shook. "They killed the peace plan, framed the humans, and they're hunting Elias too. Please, Mother. If there's a way to stop them, trust him." The message ended. The silence was heavy. Mira stood frozen. Tears streamed down her face. Her son had not betrayed anyone. He had died fighting for peace. He had died alone. And this human, this stranger, had kept his voice alive. She looked at Elias. "Why did you save this?" "Because Cale saved me," Elias said quietly. "He pulled me from the wreckage after the council ship fired. He hid me in a vent, took the blame. I never forgot." Mira looked again at the half-finished body. Her fear was still there, but now something else burned too. "Vengeance, double quotes, if Cale was right," she said slowly. "Then the war didn't start by accident." Elias nodded. "No, it was made, designed, and if we can bring Cale back, his memories might hold the proof." Mira stepped closer to the table. She reached out, touched the cold metal fingers of the clone body. They didn't feel like her. "Son, not yet, but if this goes wrong," she said, "what comes back may not be him." Elias didn't look away. I know, but we owe him a chance. For a long moment, Mira said nothing. Then she whispered, "What do you need from me?" Elias smiled, just barely. "Zarian DNA, parental connection. It'll help sync the neural transfer, and after that?" Elias looked toward the ceiling. "Then we wake him up. And if we're lucky, he remembers everything." Outside, thunder cracked across the sky. In the distance, Zarian patrols moved through the ashes, searching. The clock had started ticking. There was no sunrise on Zarya that day, only cold light leaking through thick black clouds. The underground lab remained silent, holding its breath like a grave before the wind. Mira stood beside the machine. Her hands were shaking. Not from fear, not even from hope. From something deeper, something ancient. A mother's instinct. Her son's body, no, something like his body lay on the operating table. Pale skin, eyes closed, tubes in his arms. A silver line ran down his spine. Where flesh met wire, he looked peaceful. But he was not sleeping. He was waiting to be born again. Elias stood at the console. His face was pale, focused. His fingers flew across the controls. The chip is active, neural map syncing, DNA confirmed. His mind, it's trying to connect. Mira didn't move, she just stared. Her heart thundered in her chest. The room grew colder. A strange energy filled the air. Then, suddenly Kale opened his eyes, bright, empty, confused. He sat up with a gasp, like someone pulled from deep water. He looked around quickly, breathing hard. His gaze stopped on Mira. Their eyes met. Mira stepped forward. Her lips parted. "Kale," he blinked, then tilted his head. "Who are you?" Her world cracked. "I'm your mother," she whispered. Kale looked down at his hands. He flexed his fingers, confused. "This isn't my body." Elois quickly stepped in. "Kale, listen to me. You were hurt. This body is temporary. I had to bring you back." Kale stood up sharply. The wires snapped from his back. He stumbled, then steadied himself. "I remember fire," he said quietly. "I remember screaming. I remember betrayal." Mira stepped closer. "Yes, they killed you. They lied. But you're safe now." Kale stared at her again. "You cry." Like she did. Mira froze. "What do you mean she?" Kale blinked. "The woman in my memory, she sang to me, I think. I think I knew her." Mira's knees went weak. Elias caught her arm. "It's normal," Elias said. "The mind doesn't reconnect all at once. It will take time." But Mira knew something wasn't right. Kale was standing, breathing, speaking. But the way he looked at her, it wasn't him. "Not yet." Elias pulled up a screen. "Look at this," he said. "His neural map is rebuilding. Memory paths are active. He'll remember more with every hour." Kale touched his temple. "There's noise inside my head, voices, flashes of war." Then, suddenly his eyes widened. "I saw him," he whispered. "The one who killed me. I remember his face." Myra's breath stopped. "Who?" Kale's voice became dark. "High Commander Sereth. He was supposed to be our leader. He shot me himself." Elias's fists clenched. "He's the one who stopped the peace talks. He framed the humans, started the war." Mira stepped back. Her world was breaking all over again. Kale looked at her, something almost familiar in his eyes now. "Mother, is it really you?" She reached out, touched his cheek. "Yes, you're home." His hand slowly covered hers. Warmth, recognition. A tear rolled down her face, but then alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the lab. Elias turned sharply. "They found us, Zarian soldiers." Closing in fast, Elias rushed to a panel, grabbing a small device. "We need to run. I can wipe the lab. They mustn't get this data." Kale stared at the door. "Give me a weapon." Mira looked at him. "No, you just came back." Kale's jaw tightened. Then let me protect you. Elias tossed him a pulse blaster. Kale caught it smoothly like muscle memory. Outside, footsteps grew louder. Mira turned to Kale. Are you ready? He looked at her, a strange mix of fear and courage in his eyes. I don't know who I am yet, but I know whose side I'm on. As the doors burst open and light poured in, Mira grabbed Kale's hand. Together, they ran into the shadows, but in her heart, one thought whispered louder than all others. I brought him back. But did I bring back my son or something else entirely? Asterisk smoke filled the air. The lab behind them burned, machines cracking and wires sparking like dying stars. Mira, Elias, and Kale ran through an old transport tunnel, dark, silent, and half collapsed. The only light came from Kale's glowing hand. Metal veins pulsed beneath his skin, casting a cold blue glow. They stopped in an abandoned chamber, deep underground. Safe for now, Kale fell to his knees, breathing hard. Not because he was tired, but because something inside him was fighting back. Mira knelt beside him. Kale, talk to me. Are you hurt? Kale didn't answer at first. His eyes stared into nothing. His mind was somewhere else. Then he whispered, I saw it, again. Elias stepped forward. What did you see? Kale looked up and his voice shook. The room, the table, the fire. Commander Sereth pointing the weapon at me. And I didn't run. I warned him. I begged him not to start the war. He shot me anyway. Mira's face turned pale. Kale touched his chest. I remember dying. Not just pain but betrayal. The moment my heart stopped, it burned into my mind. Like someone didn't want me to forget. Elias looked worried. That may not be a memory. It could be a neural lock, something placed inside you before death. Zarian leaders used to hide their secrets this way. Kale stood up slowly. His balance was off. The human and machine parts of him still didn't fully agree. Then unlock it, he said. If there's something inside me, I want to see it. Mira reached for his hand. Kale, maybe you need more time. He looked at her with eyes full of something new, fire. Time is what they stole from me. Elias opened a case and pulled out a strange headset. This will let me enter the memory core directly, but it's dangerous. If it's locked, whatever's hidden there could hurt your mind or erase you again. Kale didn't blink. Do it. The machine activated. A soft hum filled the chamber. Lights flashed as the headset synced with Kale's neural net. He closed his eyes then. Silence. Outside, Mira held her breath. Suddenly Kale's body jerked, his hands clenched. His face twisted with pain. Inside his mind, Kale was standing. In the memory, but it wasn't the battlefield. It was something else. A council chamber, hidden, deep beneath the capital. 12 shadowed figures. Zarian leaders. Not just military but science, politics, finance. And at the center, Commander Soreta. He stood above a glowing map of Earth and Zarya. This war, Sereth said, is not about peace. It's about control. The humans are rising too fast. They must be stopped now, or we lose the future. A voice protested. Kale doesn't agree. Sereth replied coldly. Then Kale dies. Kale watched himself. His old self burst into the room. You can't do this, he shouted. They want peace. We have proof. Sereth pulled out a pulse pistol. No trial, no warning. Just a shot. The last words Kale heard were, emotion is weakness. And your kind must be erased. Back in the real world, Kale screamed. The headset sparked. Elias pulled it off quickly. Kale fell forward, gasping for air. His skin glowed too bright. His body trembled. Mira grabbed him. Kale. He opened his eyes slowly. Now I remember everything. Elias looked at him. What did they hide? Kale's voice was like ice. The war was planned years before the humans even knew. It wasn't just fear, it was hatred. We were evolving, feeling, changing, and they wanted to stop it. Mira's eyes widened. You mean the Council knew about Zarians like us? Zarians who feel. Kale nodded. They wanted us gone. I was just the first. Elias sat back. If we can get that memory to the people, to both sides, Kale interrupted, they'll try to stop us. But I'm not afraid anymore. His hand clenched. Sparks danced across his skin. Mira looked at him, proud and afraid at the same time. You're stronger than before, she said. Kale nodded. I didn't just come back. I came back, different. And outside, in the ruins of the old world, something was watching them. A Zarian drone, silent and deadly. The enemy knew Kale was alive. And they were coming. The safe house was silent, hidden beneath the ruins of an old human satellite station. Wind howled above them like a warning. Kale sat alone in the corner of the room. His eyes were closed, but his mind was wide open. He saw everything now. The faces, the lies, the war. He had been killed not for betrayal, but for knowledge. He had learned the one thing the Zarian High Council couldn't allow, the truth about their fear. They weren't afraid of humans. They were afraid of change. Of Zarians who could feel. Of evolution. And now that truth was burning inside Kale like a second heart. Mira watched him from across the room. He hadn't spoken in hours. Just silence. And that glow beneath his skin that pulsed when he was deep in thought. Elias worked at the terminal, uploading data, decrypting files from Kale's mind. Almost there, he said. If I can crack this final lock, we'll have full access to the meeting logs. Every word, every lie, every plan they made. Mira turned. Then what? Then we broadcast it, Elias said. To the Zarian core, to Earth's networks, to every outer colony. We make sure the whole galaxy knows what they did. Kale opened his eyes. And when they do, they'll hunt us harder. They'll call it fake. They'll call me fake. Mira, step forward. You're not fake. You're my son. Kale looked at her with eyes full of both love and doubt. Am I? He asked softly. I don't even know if I'm alive. My blood is metal. My voice feels like someone else's. I remember dying, but I'm still here. What am I now? Mira didn't flinch. She knelt beside him. You're Kale, not because of your body, because of your heart. That hasn't changed. Kale looked away. Then why do I feel like a weapon? Elias paused at the console. Slowly he said, because you were made to be one. Both Kale and Mira turned to him. What do you mean? Mira asked. Elias sighed. Before Kale died, he volunteered for Project Lucid, a secret mission. He agreed to let me copy his neural pattern in case something happened. He knew the risks, knew the Council might try to silence him. Kale stood up slowly. You knew I'd be killed. I hoped you wouldn't be, Elias said. But I prepared for it. I couldn't save your body. But I could save your mind. Kale stared at him, anger rising. You turned me into this. No, Elias said quietly. They turned you into a martyr. I gave you a second chance. Kale's fists clenched, but Mira put a hand on his shoulder. Then use that second chance, she said. Don't let them win again. Suddenly, a red light blinked on Elias's terminal. They found us. A drone signal. Close. Armed. Kale moved fast. How long do we have? Elias checked the data. 10 minutes. Maybe less. Kale turned to them both. Then let's end it. He placed his hand on the terminal. His mind sensed with the machine. Data moved like lightning. Memories, voices, images. And finally, the recording, Sereth's voice. If the humans continue to evolve, we lose control. We must burn their peace before it spreads. Kill the boy. Make him the villain. The file. Finished. Elias hit upload. Sending to all channels, he said. It's done. Kale collapsed backward. Exhausted. Mira caught him. You did it, but Kale looked at her with haunted eyes. No, I started it. Now the real fight begins. Above ground, Zarian Command watched in horror as the truth spread like fire. Across cities, colonies, and space stations, the dead. Boy's voice echoed, and people listened. The galaxy was listening. On every Zarian colony, on every human outpost, on old freighters drifting between star screens flickered to life. Not by command, not by request, but by something stronger, a message. No one could stop. Kale's voice filled the stars. He stood in front of a camera in the ruins of a bunker, his skin glowing faintly under flickering lights. Mira stood behind him. Elias watched from the shadows. Kale's words were simple, but they carried fire. My name is Kale. I died 3 years ago, shot in the back by my own kind. They told you I was a traitor. They told you I chose humans over Zarians. They lied. I didn't betray my people. I tried to save them. Across Zarian cities, citizens stared in shock. Some whispered, some shouted. Others wept. In a human spaceport, an old war veteran dropped his drink as Kale's face lit up the wall. On a mining moon, a child asked her mother, "Is he a ghost?" I stood before the High Council and begged for peace. They silenced me, buried me. But now, I've come back, not for revenge, for truth. The camera shook slightly. The bunker was under attack again. But Kale didn't flinch. His voice only grew stronger. We don't need another war. We need to remember who we are, both human and Zarian. We feel, we hope, we break. We heal. That makes us more alike than they ever wanted us to believe. In the Zarian command room, Sareth watched the broadcast in silence. His face was stone, but his fists trembled. An officer turned to him. "Sir, orders?" Sareth's eyes narrowed. "Shut it down." The officer hesitated. "Sir, we can't. The signal is everywhere." In the bunker, the walls shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Distant explosions echoed. Kale continued. They fear what we're becoming. Zarians who can feel. Humans who can forgive. They're afraid of a future we share. Mira wiped her eyes. Elias stood tall beside the signal tower, ready to send. Kale's final line to every system. I was made into a weapon. Now I choose to be a voice. If you hear this, remember, we are not enemies. We are survivors. And we have one last chance to build something better, together. Silence, then, a wave. Like something breaking open across space. Screens flickered again. But this time, not with violence. With response. On a human ship, a captain removed his badge and said, "No more war." On a Zarian moon, a soldier dropped his rifle. On Earth, a crowd gathered and began to chant a name they were told to forget. Kale, Kale. Back in the bunker, Kale collapsed. The message had drained him. His circuits sparked. His body flickered. He was never meant to carry this much energy. Mira rushed to his side. "Kale, hold on, you did it." Kale smiled weakly. "I don't know if I changed the future. But now, they can't lie anymore." Elias scanned his vitals. He's burning out. His system's overloading. Mira gripped her son's hand. "Stay with me." Kale looked at her. And for a moment, just one, he looked exactly like the boy she remembered. "I'm not afraid anymore," he whispered. "Even if I disappear, my voice won't." Outside, Zarian soldiers closed in. Inside, the truth had already escaped. It was in the hearts of the people now, and there was no turning back. The night sky above Zaria burned with fire. Warships flew like shadows across the stars. The bunker was almost gone. Its walls cracked. The last generator sparked with dying light. Inside, Kale lay on the floor, barely breathing. His skin pulsed. Weakly light fading from the lines that once glowed with power. Elias worked quickly, trying to patch the core inside Kale's chest. I can slow the breakdown, he said, but not stop it. His system is failing. Mira held her son's head in her lap. Her hands trembled, but her eyes stayed strong. He gave everything, she whispered. And they're still coming. Outside, Zarian elite forces moved in, silent, ruthless, under direct orders from Commander Seraph himself. The truth had escaped, but they wanted revenge. Kale's eyes fluttered open. Is the message still playing? Elias nodded. Everywhere. It won't stop now. You started something no one can silence. Kale smiled faintly. Good, then let them come. He tried to stand, but his legs failed. Sparks flew from his spine. I have to finish this, he whispered. One last time. Mira leaned down. You've done enough. Please, stay. Kale looked at her, eyes glassy but full of warmth. You gave me life. Twice. But this time, I give it back to you. Elias looked between them, then made a choice. There's one option left, he said. The overload core. It'll destroy the bunker and everything within 500 meters. Mira gasped. You'll die. Kale looked out at the stars. I already did. Outside, the soldiers arrived. Commander Seraph stood at the front in shining armor. His voice echoed. Kale is in error. A virus. Surrender him now and you will be spared. Inside the bunker, Kale reached toward the console. His hand trembled, but he made contact. The overload code blinked to life. 90 seconds, Mira stepped forward. There's another way. Let me stay. Let me buy you time. Kale shook his head. No, I know now what I was made for. Mira didn't argue. She simply pulled him close, kissed his forehead, and whispered, You are not a machine. You are my son. Elias set the final sequence. Go, now, both of you. Mira hesitated. Elias, he smiled. Tell the galaxy who Kale really was. She turned and ran, carrying Kale's memory chip and the last backup of his voice. The soldiers stormed in. They found only Elias standing beside the console. Seraph stepped forward. Where is the traitor? Elias looked up. Right here. And pressed the final button. From far above, people saw it. A brilliant light. A circle of fire. A pulse that shook the air and burned into the sky. Then silence. Days later, Mira stood on a hill above the crater. All that was left was dust and memory. In her hand was a small device. She pressed play. Kale's voice returned one last time. If you hear this, I'm gone, but not lost. I was born twice, once in fear, once in hope. Let this be the last time we bury peace for war. Let this be the last time a mother has to choose silence over truth. And let them remember, I was not a traitor. I was a bridge. Behind her, Zarians and humans gathered together, not enemies. Not soldiers, just people, looking toward the future he died to protect. He was built to be forgotten. But in the end, Kale became the boy the stars could not forget.